Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So in today's video I want to start stitching into my poppy. Where are you, poppy? Flip it around, there it is. So the painting is down and I did start playing with a little bit of green thread and working some of the leaves just with a little bit. So today is all about orange, I think, is where I'm going to drift. So let's get my piece into a hoop. Okay. Oh, the other thing I did as part of my homework is I finished this section. So as you know, this piece was a unfinished little tablecloth. Some of the flowers that are printed on it are not embroidered. Others had a little bit, like this section here. There's a little bit of yellow, pink and the green. There was quite a lot embroidered on this one, but this one had, I've just got to look to see what's my work. This was done. I then added I think the lady had done those two. That flower, and you can see where she finished. I decided to leave that. I thought that actually represents, her work, so I left that. I added this darker turquoise and then this blue and this new little blue here. So, and she had done the purple little flowers. I think she'd only done a couple centres, little yellow dots. I just can't remember. I did that. And I did that and just sort of followed her lead to sort of make it all blend. I'd like to go through and do a little bit more embellishing like I did the other one. So some little beads and some extra little leaves and just sort of thicken it up a little bit. Where's the pansies? You can see on this one I added some extra sprays, some little beads. I did a little bit of black sketch pen in there just to sort of, I guess, tie it into everything else. So I'm yet to do that. We'll see how we go with this orange poppy, and if I work out how that's all going to roll and I have a little bit of time, I might do a bit of work in there, but we'll see how we go. I don't want to rush my poppy either. We've still got a bit of time in the month of May to, play. Can I get the whole lot in the frame? That would just be too easy, wouldn't it? Close enough. I can always move that across and, to catch this area up here. So let's get it nice and taut. Gosh, I hope I've got the right sort of oranges. I don't have a very big selection of orange threads. Let's have a look. I'm sure we'll find something. Worst case, we bring in a little bit of red and sort of find our way that way. But let's have a little play. Okay, so how are you all? Hope you're all well. Hope you had a good weekend. If you're still in the weekend mode. For those of you that, I guess it's Sunday, but for me, Monday. What am I going to... So I sort of don't mind going the whole apricot. But then if I did apricot, can I bring in something stronger? Yeah, I think I could. Let's have a look. I don't have my purple threads here. I probably should grab those as well if we're going to do a little bit of purple in the throat, blue, purple, charcoal, all of those colours. But let's see, how are we going to do this? Are we going to be big, bold stitches or layered little stitches? Let's just get a stitch in. I'm thinking big stabby stitches actually. Why am I thinking that? Maybe with a bit of a gap between them, and then come back with that other colour. So this is a pearl cotton. The other one is a stranded cotton. Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be big, long stitches. And then maybe I stitch into that. Trying to do something a little bit different on each flower, but still cohesive, that's the word, cohesive. But I sort of want to play too, you know, it's that type of cloth where I'm exploring form and colour and texture. I haven't bought in foreign fabrics or laces or things like that. I've kept with just the paint, the pencil and the thread. And the first step, of course, is to sketch, then add paint as a highlight, and then come back with the thread. I'm thoroughly enjoying this project. And for those of you that have connected to Susanna, and Tia on our Facebook page, gosh, it's lovely seeing your interpretations of all these flowers. There's very clever. And everyone's doing something different because there's no rules with this. Like if you're watching Susanna's channel, she's doing the collaging of fabrics and enhancing with paints. So slightly different again. So you really are able to do. I might jump to the next petal, but I'll stay away from where that petal joins that petal, and we'll get darker colour in there. Try and show a little bit of depth, I guess, to the flower. We should be able to really play with the centre of the poppy too. They're quite interesting in there. They have little fibres, and might stay away from that petal there. I think that should be quite dark in there. We'll scoot over to this petal. So little streaks of stitches coming out from the centre there. I'll keep going until I run out of thread. So what did I do over the weekend? Absolutely nothing. And you know what? It was great. We didn't have any visitors. We just did nothing. I tottered around in my garden. Oh, it was really good. Watched a few movies. None of them are even worth commenting about. They were just horrid. Oh, I think we paused so many. You know, when you watch the first 10 minutes, you're like, oh, where is this going? You know, it's just not grabbing us. We seem to do a lot of that. But that didn't matter. Before you know it, you're back on YouTube and you're watching what you really want to watch. It's sort of the blessing of YouTube. You can go down a rabbit hole, hang with a tribe that is your tribe. Someone made a comment in the in my comments a few weeks back now, and it really has stuck with me because I thought, yeah, she's so right. You're so right. It's like trends come and go when you do craft. You'll be into something full on into it, and then you're into something else and you're into something else. And that seems to be what, you know, happens with crafting. Or projects, you're dictated by the next project. But stitching, needle and thread, is just this constant in behind it all. And then to finally have something where you can just go for it and there are no rules and you can explore all styles and all colours and combinations of colours and then apply it to a project or nothing. Like just stitch it and you make a piece and nothing comes of that piece. It's all just about the journey. And it actually feels very liberating. It feels good too to be able to use bits and pieces that are in your cupboard from inheritances. If you've got, you know, something that you've inherited in way of cloth, textiles, fabrics, lace, whatever it may be. And it's sort of like you're visiting memory lane as you find your way through stitching something, whatever it may be. And there's so many great projects you can stitch along with on YouTube that you can sort of just go, yeah, I'll do a bit of that and I'll do a bit of that and skip around. You know, it's really, really good. And I just liked the comment made that she'd finally found her tribe. And I know that word's used a bit, but gosh, it's pretty much true. Trying to get a bit of size variation there. I've got very similar sizing there, so I want to just throw a few more bigger stitches out. Yeah, this is good. Here's my colour combination. Happy with that. Let's get in and grab a few stitches here on this little guy. Just popping that gorgeous orange. Not that I would ever say gorgeous orange often. Oh, love you, stranded cotton. Now I've got a thread that's hanging in the air. The downfall of having stranded cotton. Got to be a little bit careful because if you, especially 6 strands, if you get that one that gets a bit away, you've got to stop and settle in back down. Let's just get rethreaded here. Probably should get a bigger needle. Yeah, let's just give ourselves a break and grab ourselves, if we've got one, a chenille needle, which has a nice big eye on it. Otherwise, you'll be sitting here watching me thread needles. There we go. Just jump forward a little bit. Yeah, so back to the tribe. I know how she feels. It's like when you get up in the morning and you look for whose video is up, and then you're either having a coffee or you're just lazing there in bed and you can just hang out with someone. It's like instantly catching up with an old mate. And then you see what they're doing, you're like, oh, I want to get in my room and do a few things too. So you barely get your coffee down and you're off. That's how I feel. So I got a little bit further with this piece of cotton than I did the first one. My little ray of sunshine, this little guy. Beautiful, lots and lots of colour there. And a good variation to have that apricot and then the real burnt bright orange as well. Like it. Now I might just grab my purples. So those two are definitely having to come with me. Let me just grab my cottons. And let's see if we can bring a purple in. Could probably put those, oops, put those away. And see. Now we sort of want, I think, a bit of a dirty purple. So then I could drift into grey a little bit. Don't know. So I sort of don't mind even that. I know that's pretty out there. Let's give it a go. What have we got to lose? Let's get this dark one down first. This is a pearl cotton as well. I think it's wonderful. I don't know. They're both. That one I think is from Spotlight. What's this guy? I think he's probably the same, but feels different to him. Oh, who knows? I can't keep track of the cottons and threads and things now. When people ask me questions about it, I sort of think, or so I sort of say, look, you probably need to explore a little bit of all of them, because you'll find your favourites and then build your collection from there. So if you're starting out, most people have stranded cottons, because we're sort of using those for years. And I just don't know, what am I going to do in here? Am I going to do some knots or some... What am I going to do? So I did a heap of... See that there? That's a heap of lazy daisy stitches, which the lady before me had done. And I sort of enjoyed the way that looked. Let me do a couple and then we'll go from there. She radiated out from the centre these little stitches. Oh, not from the centre, from the outer edge. And I sort of like the look they gave. Sort of like there's a little petal within the petals. Don't know if it's the right stitch to do, but let's just explore it. It's certainly giving me a raised... So there's even like little fibres within a poppy. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of things to snag me on this side. I should have this here over here. I might do that. Get this out of the way. It's bad enough that I'm catching on all this lace, but to make my life harder, I've got this right in the way. So let's get that out of the way. Let's see if I can get a little bit more of that poppy into my hoop. Yeah. Oh, goodness me. Hang on. Hold the horses. Yeah, it's better. Really like this hoop. I've had this for probably 30 years. I think I did see some somewhere online still for sale, the makers of it. I really do. I've got the timber hoops as well. But I always seem to go back to this one. I think this winding clasp is very, very good. It's nice and big. So some of the timber ones have those little brass looking tiny winders, and I just find them a bit awkward on my fingers, where I feel like this is a little bit more generous in the way to turn it tightly. Okay. Yeah, I like this. This is just punched up the colour a little bit. I wonder if that pale lavender-like thread is the right way to proceed. Doesn't matter, does it? I know anyone who looks at this piece, if it's sitting on my table, that comes to visit, they get such an overview of the piece that very few even look into the detail of the piece. So things that I've tortured myself over, well, not tortured myself, but you know what I mean? There's always areas of your needlework that you focus in on and you're like, oh, it's just not right, it's just not right. But then when it comes to the overall picture, it just all works. So it has taught me just to, you know, give myself a break. And just let it be. What it is what it is. Yeah, I like this colour. Don't mind a bit of purple and orange together. They do work. It's whether this next purple is the right tone. I sort of have a feeling I should go darker. Like get into a grey, nearly a black. Remember the watercolour book, which I don't have handy? It was a real dusty grey that went into there, nearly black. So maybe the next colour is that. And then maybe I do black in the centre. A lot of maybes. Got a bit of a husky voice this morning. There's been a lot of wind. I go outside in the wind and the locals tell me that winter here gets that nice southerly, cool, windy days all the time. And of course it picks up salt from our environment, being near the ocean. And I seem to come in with a bit of a husky, nearly like a sore throat. It's like, gosh, am I getting a cold? You know, when you get that thought. I'm just going to do a few random extras in that centre. But once you have a drink of water, it's like your throat washes clean and that feeling of a sore, prickly throat just disappears. Yeah, I like that. Just a few extra random ones to take that circle feel out of it. Okay. Decisions. Do we do? That's a definite. Love, love, love that colour. Do we do it pale? I don't know. I sort of think it's the wrong way to go. Maybe instead, just to add interest, I use a little bit of it just on the one side. A few little French knots. So it's just a pop of colour. Is what I'm thinking, and I need to go darker in there. I might even go straight to black next and just get, let's just do a French knot or a colonial knot, I don't know, whatever's going to come out. I think we'll just do a few scatterings of it. So it's like there is still a little bit of light popping around there, and we'll stay to this little edge. Oh gosh, I hope I'm on camera. Yeah, I am. So if there's anything I'm doing in the way of a knot or a stitch and you're like, gee girl, you haven't really shown us because you're not close up, I'd highly just recommend that you go and find some of the embroiderers that focus their channels on learning stitches. And then you can see the technique and they'll actually give you a verbal instructions to go with it. And then you're really learning it. That's what I do. When I can't quite remember how to do something, I just go and find it on another channel. This is for all the newbies out there who've stumbled into our world of slow stitching and all of the above. Because if you can and you've got the time, it really pays to explore the techniques of everything, because at the end of the day, you know, it's nice to learn some new things. Okay. Yeah, I like that. It's just a smattering of that purple. I think that's good. Just a little bit. All right, so he needs to stay out of the thread box. He will be used again. Okay, now where'd he go? He's there, so he's good. Now, in there, let's go back to, let's just pop this away. I was in Spotlight the other day looking for a thread colour that I'm really low on, and silly me didn't take the actual thread with me, and I'm using it for the Susanna's calendar project. And do you think I could see a nice dark grey? I've stitched the deer in it, and I'm down to the last little bit, and I really would like some more. I think it's probably that, but I don't think the number's there anymore. Is it this one? They've really, yeah, this is it. Look, now I'm off on a tangent. Let me grab the square. Got the bunny. And I went in there and I looked and looked and looked, and I could not find that thread colour. It's like a dirty grey. That's him there, I think. Yeah. I need to pop that in my purse. 379. I have a distinct feeling that's all I've got of it, and I'm working on the deer and the bunnies finished from a previous month, and I could not see a nice dark slaty grey. So I need to pop that in my purse, so next time I'm in that establishment I can grab some. Now, what are we going to do in the centre? Well, I think tidy up my threads. I've got this grey. I think I could handle a little bit of that. Where's the black? Do I go straight to the black, or do I soften it with a little bit of this grey? But this is the biggest centre. These will be barely getting a stitch or two. I might just do a couple little stitches in this. It's probably extra and above and not even noticed. But for me, when I pick up the piece in 10 years' time and have a good look at it again, I will notice it and go, oh, look at that clever little chook. She put all those extra colours in there, and now you wouldn't even know they were there. They've just blended in, and it was probably a waste of 10 minutes, but I've thoroughly enjoyed doing it in the meantime. What I could do is, from this big glorious scented one, pick maybe 3 of those tones, and that's what goes into those. Yeah, that's just disappearing. You know what I might do? Let's try throwing a few of this stitch up into the poppy itself, but not all the way. Let's just bring them from the deep in the centre up a little bit. Yeah, that's good. I like that. the other colour we need to find is a yellow where the sun is dancing off those little crinkled edges. Yeah, I like that. That looks like that tone in the centre of the flower is actually bleeding up into the petals a little bit, which it does. There's definitely bleeding of colour, like in the watercolour world, when the colours bleed. Really beautiful. And then we will bring black into the centre to really get the centre of that poppy. Like when you look at the red poppies, they're very black in the centre. I must say I have enjoyed picking a flower and studying that flower. Like it's like a little assignment to do for the month, where you go, right, it's all about poppies this month, and you start Googling images, and then you're looking at poppy farms and how they harvest the poppy seeds, and then you're looking at poppy seed recipes, and it's like, gosh, all of this happens. Poppy seed oil, everything comes from this one little plant, you know. It becomes quite interesting. Yeah, I think I'm starting to capture the centre of these now. Running out of thread. Get a couple more stitches, I think that will do it. Yeah, love that. Love, love. Awesome. So now I'm confident that I can go straight to that. Ow. Ow. Oh, that was good. Oh, look at my finger. Oh. See, lost focus. Now we have a gusher. It would have to be a crewel needle, hey? One of those big, thick needles. Good one. Lovely. Nice sore thumb for the rest of the day. Let's get a bit of black. Bit of pressure will sort it out. Gosh, there's my colour palette. Look at that. How gorgeous. See, without having that poppy as my focus for the month, I would probably have never done a project with those colours. Very cool. Just pushes your boundaries, doesn't it? Pick a flower, any flower, study said flower, and then have a go at reproducing the flower. What are we going to do with this black? I think I'm going to do some knots. That'll give us a bit of a more of a raised area. Blends in with the softer purple. So and I'm sort of moving on to the next section now that I've got this black sorted. Where there's orange under the yellow, I'll definitely go in with a bit of orange and do a little bit of stitching through those zones. But what we will do is work on that yellow next. Oh, hello, poppy. And once I've sorted this little recipe out here of colour, then it's just hit repeat, settle in, grab myself a coffee, attempt to find a video. If not, head to YouTube, catch up with the gang. A little bit behind on a few videos. I've been busy sort of setting up house and garden and craft room. So I've got a little stash, a stockpile of Sonia's videos. Sonia Steptoe's the name of her channel. I've got probably about 8 episodes, maybe 9 that I'm behind on. So I'm looking forward to time where I can just one after the other and catch up on all of Sonia's adventures. So I've just snuck a few extra knots up past where the actual space was, just to sort of blend. I had even planned to put red into this, but I'm thinking that that's enough. I think by the time I work into there. Now let's have a look at yellow. So we could go, no. It's a bit of a burnt yellow. Do we go softer? No. Do we go brighter? One's called Sunshine, the other one's called 729. Where's the oranges? It's tricky because this is what I'd call a pastel version of orange. That is nearly a pastel version of yellow. That's a bright orange, and that's a bright yellow. I sort of feel like I need this one. We'll give it a go. I don't think there's anything better. Anything else I've got in there is going into yellows and things like that. Let's try Sunshine. What do I do with my needle? Oh, good one, girl. Did anyone see where I put? There it is. You'll be pleased to know my thumb has stopped bleeding. Luckily, I clot quickly, hey? Oh, my goodness. My mother-in-law is on that medicine that makes the blood thinner because she's had problems with clots years ago. So I think it's called warfarin. Anyway, she was telling me about when she nicks herself, it can sometimes take a little bit of time to clot. And it just popped into my head then that, could you imagine you're stitching and you jab yourself and you've got to put down your work for 10 minutes. I don't know how I'd cope with that. It's probably in my future if I ever have issues like that. It's definitely a medicine that is dished out in this country. I've got a lot of people that I know that take it for clots in legs and things like that. Even my husband's brother takes it, and he is 54. He had a clot after surgery. Yeah, his appendix out, that's what it was. Had his appendix out. And a little clot formed and travelled into his lungs. Oh, I'm going to cough. Yeah, it travelled up into his lungs. Tremendous pain. And they put him on this warfarin, and it's on a very low dose, so just as a precaution, and he's still on it. But he often comments that if he cuts his finger or something, it takes a little time for his body to do what it's got to do. I don't know how I got onto that topic. Goodness me. I'm just doing nearly an overcast stitch, just whipping up this side, making it variegated in size of stitch. Trying to stay within the black so that we can still see the outline and what we're meant to be showcasing there. But that is going to work. That'll just give us that little bounce of light, and that yellow is really good. Tiny bit left. I'll put that in the orts jar, I think. Let's do a little bit more of that yellow. I really like that. See, when I do these little edges like that, I then start to debate whether I need to do the orange underneath it because it's starting to make it get that heavy look, where at the moment that does literally look like a turned over edge. But if I was to stitch in there, would I lose that? Oh, gosh. Contemplation of thought. That's all right. Keep stitching yellow. keep glancing into those areas. See, this is the benefit of having the paint. You know, it's there to complement the piece. I don't want to cover it all, go to all that effort to swoosh a bit of paint around and then come through and cover it all in stitch. That's all right if you hate what you did in the painting. That's the get out of jail, isn't it? You can always come back in and stitch over everything. But I'm thinking it needs to stay as it is. I don't know. I like too how this yellow actually feels like it's, the petal is crimped over, like bent over. It's got a raised feel about it. Yeah, I have a distinct impression I will not be stitching under that. What I might do then is follow the lead of this and maybe put a few stitches in here on the bottom of the petal instead of, maybe that's how I approach it. So I put some in there. I feel like this could do with a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know. Let's get that yellow. See, do I do a few little stitches down in there coming up? Let's give it a go. If we don't like it, we can take it out. I've gone the softer orange because I don't want it to sit in front of that yellow. So my theory is if I pick a paler of the two oranges, it may not appear as bold. I feel like I could be a bit braver too, bringing some more of this stitch up. I'll do that first. Maybe if I keep working the centre, I won't need to do anything actually out on the edge because I've drifted up a little higher. Yeah, I like that. That's better. And I need it to be a little less uniform, so I'm going to jump over a little bit. Yeah, that's it. I think I'll keep focusing on the centre of the poppy, sneak more stitches up higher than what I originally did in my first pass, so we get more of a splash of orange coming up. Leave the orange that's under the yellow curled edges. Yeah, that's it, girl. Be a little bit braver with your centre stitches. Like do a pass through. I think now I've got to focus on one petal at a time. When I first picked it up, I just did a whip around. Now I need to just work one petal. Have a look at where the petal's heading, and then using the paler orange, just slip on back through with some more stitches. Make it be a bit bolder, as they say. So I think we've nutted that out a little bit better. Yeah. Yes. Let's do, how are we going for time? I'm off on a tangent here. Plenty of time, we've got time. So, yeah, I remember now, I did all this stitching up here and I had a bit of green thread and I started working into these stems and I thought, well, that's boring stitching. You guys won't mind if I just do a little bit of green stem work. Then I put it down. I haven't touched this piece for a little while. Sort of got stuck into, I did this when I was still in Brisbane. I thought I'll just start it, and then that way I can move house and pick it up once I get up here. And that's of course where we're at. Yeah, that's the ticket. Might come up at the bottom. Needle back to myself. It's just a little bit quicker, isn't it? Instead of doing the stab stitch all the time, you can get your angles right and do 2 stitches at once, or 2 bites of the fabric. Just goes a bit quicker. Yeah, I'm getting more of a fan shape on this little guy because he's a funny little petal. It's a bit contorted, which is good because that'll make my centre look a little bit more interesting too. Instead of like a sunflower, it's getting a little contorted as well, which is good. That'll help sort of show a little bit of movement. Yep. Love it. Oh, I feel like I need to stitch under that petal again. And I think it's because the yellow is not there. I'll show you what I mean. Just glanced up to there, but let's get the yellow in through there, and I think I'll then go like over here. Don't touch it because you've got paint there that is subtle where this is so bold. Stay away from it. And I think that's what I felt before when I did those 2 edges. So let's work our way from here through. That's good. That yellow is going to come right down into that centre there. That's going to look really neat. The little green branch coming up, the stem, is going to tuck in behind that yellow, which is also going to look really neat. It's going to help me show depth. What's it look like on camera? Good. Oh yeah, I just glanced at the camera or the iPad, and that there looks really deep and dark and moody, like the centre of the poppy that was in that watercolour book, which is what drew me to this colour combination, to be honest. When I saw them paint in the orange and the purples into the blacks and greys, I was like, oh yeah, that's... And I didn't really want to do a red poppy because I've got the rose over here. I wonder if I've got some orange beads that I could do that in. I don't think they're small enough. They're big, chunky beads, actually. Might have a bit of a glance. I won't go all the way through there because there's no paint in that one. So we'll let the sketch be there. You're probably thinking she's painted yellow, but she's covering it up. Maybe there's some areas on some of these others where I leave the yellow. I don't know. That's the fun of it, isn't it? Where you explore the next flower, the next petal, and see what comes of. See, once again, don't need the orange. Just leave it be. Just keep focusing on the petals. It's funny how colour does that. Okay, we've still got a little bit of time. I might just keep fiddling around here. I've got a little bit of yellow here that I think I could use. So let's get that. See, here's a scenario where there's not much ink and then white and then yellow. So I might follow that and leave that unstitched instead of being so defined. Be a little bit more whimsical with my stitching. Because that there has no paint in it. Quite possibly I just forgot to put paint in it. But maybe I don't stitch it. Oops, I went outside the black line. I'm going to stop and fix that because I really want to have the sketch lines showing. So we're not going to have time to go and play over there. So I might do that in my next video. I'll get these poppies done. I'll do a little bit more stitching on the stems of the poppies. And then in the next video, we might meander through here and just sort of Corrine it a bit. Is what I'm thinking. Just enough. Don't want this yellow stitching to be real heavy too everywhere. I think it'll become quite overpowering if there's too much of it. It's really just light bouncing around, and because I'm using quite a thick thread as well, it'd be very easy to make it look too heavy. It's just my feeling I'm getting here. So to have it a little bit lighter and scattered this side and heavier this side, I sort of like that. How are we going for time? Oh, plenty of time. I might just go back to this coral. And I'm going to work a little bit more of this extra stitching to build up depth in the center. So I might skip that petal and work into this petal, this little guy here. Because if I put that coral into the one that's behind this bloke, I think I'd overpower it pretty quickly with coral and it won't look deep. It'll bring it forward. It's my theory anyway. Let's get the needle down the bottom here so that I can do 2 stitches at once. Well, 2 bites of the fabric at once. Otherwise we'll be here all day. Just thicken all this petal work up. Make it a bit more irregular instead of circular. Oops. Yeah. Oops. Come on. Don't catch that knot. All right. Stab stitch we do, one at a time. One movement at a time. Okay. Once again, we've got a back petal. I might just put a couple, but in the top here. into the centre. So stay away from where this little petal I just finished sits on top of it. What have we got happening here? Threads overlapping. Oh, I know what I'll be doing today. I'm just going to stitch. These poppies are going to be calling me all day. I really should go and get some groceries, but oh my goodness. If only we didn't have to eat. It interferes with our recreational activities, doesn't it? I feel like I need another stitch there. There we go. Leave it at that. Well, I'm happy with that, guys. I really, really like that. I'm glad I started on that big flower first because it's allowed me to get a bit of a rhythm up to work those guys. A little bit more yellow. I might even just do that guy there and that guy there. How are we going for time? Oh, what the hang, let's just do it. You guys aren't going anywhere. And if you were, you would have left by now because you probably have to go and get groceries. So you've gone, righto, Corrine, that's enough. I've seen what you're up to. Catch you later. Okay. So my feeling is I'm going to stitch him and him. I'll do that and then we'll have a look at it. The other thing I could do is bring some little yellow beads in. I don't think my yellow and my orange beads are tiny. In some of the colours I know I'll use all the time, I have smaller sizes, but these types of beads come in packs with other beads because I haven't deliberately gone out and bought orange and yellows and things like that. And they're often too big. If I did want some beads, they'd have to be itty bitty ones. So I don't think, oh yeah, I love that. That's good. Sort of blends the piece. Okay, let's do that top edge. What's going on there? Has that come undone? Or is that just where she's finished her crocheting? I might have to weave that little guy back in. He's hanging out a little bit there. Probably me manhandling this tablecloth is roughing it up a little bit. Okay. Just little itty bitty stitches. Like so. Just a little bit. Tiny, tiny, nearly a buttonhole stitch, you know, little tiny. Okay. Yep. I'm going to leave it at that. Just is not so heavy then. If I was to do all of those edges in that, I think it'd start to feel quite blocky. Well, this is going to be a challenge to knot off. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm really happy with that. How's it look on camera? Pretty good. Pretty good, if I do say so myself, Got a little bit of yellow left on my needle, so I might just bring it up over here, ready for the next flower. And then I'm going to say goodbye. Actually, I won't. I'm just going to stitch this, so hang in there. I can't stop. I'll use this little piece over here, and then I can take my threads that we've used to the couch. And I'm ready. To explore the next poppy. It's actually stitched up quite well. Quite quickly is what I meant to say, not quite well. Sometimes these really big flowers, you think, oh gosh, there's hours of work there. But then when you start working them and you're just highlighting, there was more work in this style of stitching. That classic fancy work, satin stitch, where this is more loose. Oh, my back's starting to get a bit crampy. I can always tell when I've been doing this for an hour with you guys, because I just start to get a bit of shoulder pain between my shoulders. That slight stoop to come in under the camera. I don't know how Catherine does those hour-and-a-half videos. Oh, my back would be shot. K3N from Cloth Tales. If you're a newbie and you haven't seen Catherine's channel, go over and check it out, because if you want to start to pick up some technical skills and some learnings to add to your repertoire. See, I shouldn't have done a stitch. I should have just knotted it off. Hang with Catherine, because you'll pick up all sorts of techniques, and you know, and she goes through the history of stitches or themes or whatever it is that she's chosen for her project for that day. So you might just learn something too. There we go. I've used that little morsel of yellow to start the next one. All right, guys, I'm going to toddle off, stretch myself, and fix this little thread that's come away here. Just get him woven back in. There's my crocheting days coming out. Did I catch him? Nope. We don't want this gorgeous crocheting to come apart. She's done a beautiful stitch. The thread is just so soft and beautiful. And come back down there. Really bury that thread. There we go. Now I can give it a little trim. That'll just give it a little press. That'll just sort of felt it in, but not felt it, but you know what I mean. Anyway, pop the needle in. I'm going to say goodbye. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.